We have some new news on Raiders star wide receiver Davante Adams based on things we've been seeing. From Ian Rappaport, it looks like Davante Adams will likely not be suspended anytime soon. Now, we're going to go into more details about what this means. We know what happened with Davante Adams shoving the cameraman after a heartbreaking loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's been some speculation as to, why was this camera guy there? Why was he walking through the tunnel, passing through this area where you have security typically block it off, typically say, hey, you cannot walk right here unless you're a player, but instead, the cameraman was able to flow right by. Then you saw Davante Adams run into him, take out some frustration, apologize after. We've talked about this, yada, yada. But the question is, for Raiders fans, what does this mean for Davante Adams? Is Davante Adams going to be suspended in a particular moment when it's the perfect game? I don't know what, like maybe week 18 against the Chiefs? Let me guess. He's going to not face a suspension until, boom, right when it matters the most, right? Is that what's going to happen, or is it not? So it was first reported by Ian Rappaport that this is not really a misdemeanor. It's more of a city violation in which Davante Adams could pay a $250 fine or up to $1,000. Anybody saying, he's going to go to jail, they're just totally clickbaiting you, and, congrats on them. They successfully got you to click on their video, but no jail time is likely. What is happening right now is there's a court case scheduled for November 10th, and because of the rules around the NFL, the fact that this wasn't necessarily on the field, this is considered an off the field incident, the NFL is going to have to let this legal situation play out. So basically, Davante Adams has a court date November 10th with this guy, and we'll ultimately find out what his punishment is unless he settles with the guy before then. And what I think is most likely going to happen, in my opinion, is Davante Adams settles with this cameraman prior to the November 10th court date. Therefore, the legal situation will be then wrapped up, and the NFL will have to decide what is his punishment then. Will he just receive a fine by the NFL? Will he be suspended? We've seen players do far worse crimes and not really miss too many games. So I would be very surprised if something happens to Davante Adams, but ultimately it will not happen before November 10th. And the truth of the matter is he's not being charged with a severe crime. This is a city ordinance violation of assault, allegedly. So that's all he has going on right now. Not a felony, not a misdemeanor. It's a city ordinance violation. And I don't think he should face any kind of hefty type of punishment. But the timeline and when this punishment will come will be a few games later. We have for the Raiders right now facing the Texans. Then you're facing the Saints. So Davante Adams is going to be playing for sure against the Texans, against the Saints. But prior to this Colts game, we're going to find out what his punishment from the NFL really is. So hopefully he doesn't face much time, but he did have a great time in Fresno. Davante Adams had his jersey retired at Fresno State, a monumental event during the bye week.
I don't take this lightly. I don't take the love I get from these fans and just the Fresno State community. I mean, it means a lot to me. And this is the type of stuff I'm trying not to get too emotional out here because honestly, it's a lot.
Trying not to get too emotional. Big day for Davante Adams. A really special moment that doesn't happen to a lot of players. Check all this out. You got Anthony Galaviz of the Fresno Bee showing this reveal. Ultimate epic reveal. You got Derek Carr, David Carr right there. And then boom, here we go. Davante Adams right next to Carr out there in Fresno and had his whole family there. And even Derek Carr had to come by and show some support. He actually surprised Davante Adams. Davante Adams did not even know he was going to be there, and he popped by for a second, of course, with the family, Heather Carr and company. And then you have both these guys, Fresno State alum, trying to make it happen in the NFL, having a lot of success statistically between each other. Davante Adams is still one of the top receivers in the NFL in terms of yardage and touchdowns right now, but just not stacking up some W's in the win column. And now is the perfect time for the Raiders to sort of get back on track. You've had a bye week. You've had time for people to think, because the Raiders, oddly enough, outside of the Darren Waller hamstring injury and outside of Nate Hobbs being banged up in the hand, Foster Moreau not being available, Hunter Renfrow still working his way back, was able to play last game. They don't have significant injuries. They don't have anything as crazy as other teams in the NFL like the Broncos, like the Chargers, right? So this is a time for them to mentally get right, and then you have games that should be winnable against the Texans, against the Saints, against the Colts. You should win these games, and if you don't, quite frankly, maybe you don't deserve to be in the playoffs this year. Maybe you need to work towards next year and having a Super Bowl run next year when the Super Bowl is in Las Vegas. But I do think the Raiders could run the table with these next 5 weeks of games, and then you start having some difficult ones towards the end of the season, right? You're playing the Chargers, you're playing the Chiefs again, then you got to play the 49ers, the second to last game of the season. Those are some tough games, right? But right now, Raiders got to prove to themselves that they deserve to be in the playoffs by beating some teams that they should beat. And we've seen the Raiders Raiders throughout our time as fans, even recently, especially in 2019, 2020, there's always that critical game that kind of ruins their playoff chances in the middle of the year. Whether it be against the Jets in 2019, where they got totally dominated after having a shot to really compete in the division, or also in 2020 when the Falcons completely stunned them. So the Raiders cannot let this opportunity pass them by. If you want more content from me, WiFiWillie, on the whole entire NFL, make sure you subscribe to WiFiWillie NFL. It is linked on my Raiders channel below. Over 60% of my viewers are not subscribed. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Raiders content. Peace out, everybody, and I hope you have a good one.